So, have you ever wondered who Jehovah's Witnesses really
Yeah,
are?
I
I mean,
have.
more than just seeing them knocking on doors?
Totally. I've always been curious about their beliefs and where they come from.
Well, it's pretty fascinating. Did you know they started in the late 19th century in the United States
Really?
with a man named Charles Taze Russell?
No way. I didn't realize they had roots that far back.
Yeah, Russell was a Bible student who wanted to study the scriptures free from traditional creeds. So in 1879, he began publishing Zion's Watchtower.
That's connected to the Watchtower magazine they have now, right?
Exactly. It's been
Right.
central to their teachings and outreach since then.
So when did they adopt the name Jehovah's Witnesses?
In 1931, under Joseph Franklin Rutherford's leadership, they wanted to emphasize their role in bearing witness to Jehovah, which they see as God's personal name.
That's unique. Not many Christian groups focus on that name.
Yeah, they believe using Jehovah is essential for true worship.
So what are their core beliefs that set them apart?
Well, for starters, they don't believe in the Trinity. They see Jesus as separate from and subordinate to Jehovah. They
Oh,
view
that's
him as
different.
God's agent for reconciling humans.
So they have a non-Trinitarian doctrine.
Exactly. And they have their own Bible translation, the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures.
Why did they feel the need for their own translation?
Well, to align the scriptures more closely with their interpretations and beliefs.
Makes sense. What about their views on the end times?
They believe we're living in the last days and that God's kingdom will soon replace human governments, bringing peace and security on earth.
An imminent change, then.
Exactly. It's a central part of their faith and motivates their evangelism efforts.
Speaking of evangelism, they're known for their door to door preaching.
Yes, it's one of their hallmark practices. They distribute literature like The Watchtower and Awake to share their beliefs.
I've definitely had a few conversations with them. It's interesting how dedicated they are.
Absolutely. They see it
Yeah.
as their duty to spread the word.
Do they have regular worship services?
They do. They meet at Kingdom Halls for meetings that involve Bible study, prayer, and discussions on applying biblical principles.
Kingdom halls, that's their version of churches?
Exactly. They don't use the term church because they associate it with traditional Christianity, which they believe has deviated from true worship.
Interesting. I heard they maintain political neutrality.
Yes, they refrain from voting, running for political office, or participating in military service. They strive to remain separate from worldly affairs.
So they're like religious pacifists in a way?
In a sense, yes, they focus on their
Right.
spiritual obligations.
But what about their stance on medical treatments like blood transfusions?
They refuse blood transfusions based on their interpretation of biblical passages that prohibit ingesting blood.
That seems pretty strict. Doesn't that
Yes,
pose risks in medical emergencies?
it can. They seek alternative treatments, but it's definitely a challenging aspect of their beliefs.
I respect their commitment, but I wonder if that's taking things too far. Lives could be at stake.
That's a common concern. They believe obedience to God's law is paramount, even over preserving physical life.
I see, it's a deeply held conviction then.
Yes, and it's led to legal challenges, especially when minors are involved.
I can imagine the ethical dilemmas that creates.
Absolutely. It's a complex
Yeah,
intersection of faith, law, and medicine.
it's intriguing how their beliefs so strongly influence their practices.
Definitely, their dedication is quite remarkable.
Even if I don't agree with everything, I can appreciate their commitment.
Same here. Understanding different perspectives enriches our own views.
Exactly, it's like looking through a kaleidoscope. Each turn offers a new pattern.
Nice metaphor. Thanks. So,
Haha.
overall, what makes Jehovah's Witnesses distinct?
Well, their non Trinitarian beliefs, use of Jehovah as God's name, global evangelism, political neutrality, and stance on blood transfusions all set them apart.
They certainly stand out within Christianity.
Absolutely. It's interesting how they've maintained their practices over time.
Yes, they've remained consistent in their beliefs since their founding.
Well, this has been an enlightening conversation.
Agreed. It's always
Yeah,
great to learn about different faith traditions.
definitely. Thanks for sharing all this information.
Anytime, let's keep exploring more topics like this.
Absolutely.